Wait a minute, guys.
Angel.
I'm getting called up. Never mind. Never mind.
Oh my God.
I'm back.
You are listening to Saints in the South. All right, welcome everybody to another episode of Saints from the South. Glad you're with us again. We hope that y'all are enjoying your studying of the Book of Mormon as much as we are. We're having a really good time getting together every week and talking about the Book of Mormon and everything that's going on. And we hope we are providing some different insights. And Kitty's getting ready with his mask for those of you that can't.
That's right. That's right.
That's right. We are still practicing our social distancing here on Zoom. So,
Never thought it would last this long, but
that's
here
right.
we are.
Yep, so. Absolutely.
Yep.
Thank the Lord for good technology.
That's right.
Amen.
Well, this week we are studying Alma chapters 36 through 38. And this week's title I love. It's a strong title. It's Look to God and Live. It made me think of Patrick Henry's quote in the middle of his speech in 1775 and to the Second Virginia Convention, where he said, "Give me liberty or give me death."
Yeah, awesome.
And then old Sean Hannity. I'm actually not a very big fan of Sean Hannity, but anyway, his new book coming out. It's Live Free or Die. So this week's title has got that kind of oomph to it. Look to God and live. You know, so I really like that.
Yeah, very bold.
That's right. That's right.
Like
so these couple of chapters, 36, 37, and 38, as we mentioned last week, Alma has decided to sit his sons down, and he's going to visit with them one by one. And I actually watched. I don't know if y'all have seen the video yet, where Alma starts visiting with his sons. That's put out on the Book of Mormon videos there, and he does visit with them, one-on-one there. And so he starts out with Helaman. Do y'all know the I guess the age sequence of Helaman and Shiblon and is there any mention of that?
No, I don't know.
I haven't looked into that. I haven't thought about
I think Helaman's his favorite though. So anybody listening right now, go on Facebook and set us straight about the age, because I'm sure somebody out there knows.
Yeah, I'm not exactly
somebody
sure.
out there shaking their head right now, going, "Really? You don't even know that?"
That's
like,
right.
guys, y'all don't even know.
Come on.
Just calm down. Yeah.
I do know this happened around 74 BC.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And he started talking to his sons and like I say, go ahead.
I was going to say, isn't it the tradition though to talk to the oldest first? So I would assume Helaman's the oldest.
So. Yeah.
I don't know.
But it's interesting. So, Marcus, you mentioned a couple of episodes ago where he gets his dream team of missionaries, right? But he also brings two of his sons.
Yeah.
I think Shiblon and
Helaman.
Yeah.
Shiblon and Corianton, was that?
Yeah, that's right, Corianton.
That was the other one he took. Yeah,
but Helaman stayed, and as you mentioned, Marcus, he ends up becoming a big leader in the army. I guess.
Yeah, he's a big time general. I mean, he's
that's right.
He's basically right there with Captain Moroni, as far as Captain Moroni was the chief general, whatever you want to call it, over all the armies, right. Chief captain, and Helaman was one of his generals, which was probably right there with him. As far as awesomeness.
Yeah. So we're gonna get into kind of what he shares with Helaman and with Shiblon here, and so anybody can jump in as we move forward here. So
I think it's good to preface just quickly, just going off of what you said at the end of the last podcast, which I wasn't a part of, but I loved when you said the part in verse 16 of chapter 35 where it says that he taught each of them separately. And as we go through these chapters, as you said, he spoke to each one. He didn't just, as Kenny had also said, that he didn't just gather them up into a room and start talking to them, in general. This was very one-on-one, obviously, but also it helps you understand why it needs to be that way. We start to see sort of who his sons are, these three sons. We see sort of the kind of person Helaman is, then we see sort of the kind of the person Shiblon is, and sort of the person of Corianton. And we see all three how different they are and different things that happen in their lives. And this is the reason he had to talk to them separately. He had different things to say to each one, a lot of similar things, baseline stuff, but then he goes into what does Helaman need? What does Shiblon need? I love that. I love seeing that. Just like our own kids, every child is absolutely different. You know, I can't do, I've got 2 daughters. There's no way I could do the exact same thing for each daughter. I mean, you know, one hates what the other one probably loves or this or that. It's just total different personalities. It's unreal how that is. But yeah, I thought it's very interesting.
That's going to be one of my questions when this is all said and done, this mortal life, is that why that stork did not deliver a personal guidebook with each child.
Exactly. I mean, forget the where we come from, why are we here, and where are we going? How do we deal with these kids?
That's right.
I mean, I never hear that one. So
that's right.
Now, I do think it's important, the one-on-one.
Yeah.
You know, it reminds
Absolutely.
me how I need to just, you know, like today I took one of my daughters and I actually thought about it, you know, just one-on-one going to the store, something simple as going to the store, picking up something and getting that few minutes of talking and getting to know the one-on-one versus a big group of people, you know.
Yeah.
It's so true. I could tell you right now, I've got 3 children, and I could tell you that there's general things I would say, you know, about the church, about the gospel, but then I can tell you that each conversation after that would be so different. I know that I wouldn't say the certain things I would say to my son as I would my oldest daughter, as I would my youngest daughter. And so I see that with Alma here. You know, he wants to talk to these guys. And as we said, I don't know if this was done in order of age or just perhaps who was close by at the time or why this order is as it is. But I do just love the way that he talks to each one, how sort of different it is and how that helps us to know, hey, this is how you can talk to your own children. You know?
Yeah. What were some of the things that jumped out to y'all that he shares with Helaman here?
I think just me personally, he talks about how basically he gives his testimony, but I love the way that he gives it to the point of that you cannot doubt what he says. Like, you know what I mean? It's like the way that he says them, my son, give ear right off the bat, first verse, my son, give ear to my words, for I swear unto you that inasmuch as ye shall keep the commandments of God, ye shall prosper in the land. Why would he say that? Because he knows that's absolutely true. He's tested it. He's tried it. This is how to do it. I've done the other way. I've went that way, and I've done it the right way, and it's way better. I mean, so everything he says, I just love his testimonies. He goes through, talks about the angel, talks about all those things that happened to him. But you don't leave this conversation with Alma wondering, you know, maybe he believes what he says, or, you know, I mean, he is on point. He's down with his testimony. He knows exactly. And you don't leave there wondering what he believes, you know.
Right. Using that specific word "swear" to me comes across a lot more powerful.
Oh, yeah.
You know, versus saying "I promise," you know, or
I know.
I know.
Or,
you know.
Yeah.
I swear.
Oh, yeah.
These things.
Swearing back then was a big deal. I mean, it sounds like, you know, I swear all the time. No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm getting to is it's a very powerful thing to say that I swear. In other words, you know, it's that whole oath thing.
Yes. Covenant speaking type. Yeah.
It's covenant speaking rhetoric here. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think Alma Jr., Alma the younger, you know, Alma the older, he was lost, was converted. Then he was raising his kids, and Alma the younger was rebellious. So you got 2 generations there. Now, Helaman, we don't know of any, as far as we know, was just a good boy, just a good son. Yeah. And Alma the younger is just reminding him, you know, his conversion story, seeing the angel. And again, I just think Alma is an example of what a father should be, stirring up the faith within his children. You know, he's talking to all 3 of them and just basically stirring up their faith and just reminding them to stay faithful, you know, to that Jesus Christ is the Savior, and you can find joy through him and all. And
I like the idea. For me, when I'm looking at these children, I'm looking at these 3 boys, and I think of my own 3 children. But I also look at this, and you can almost see, I guess, as a parent, I can almost see maybe the levels of their faithfulness just by the way Alma's talking to them. It's almost as if, and we haven't gotten to Shiblon yet, but Shiblon, super short. I have never been more proud of you. I've seen you in action. I mean, we're going to get to that. But with Helaman, also very good things to him. But he also says, I pray that you'll continue. I hope that you remember. I hope that you stay firm. I hope that you, and it's sort of that sort of kind of talk. He wants all his children to do that, but you can tell that maybe he may know Helaman in a manner of, hey, don't get too prideful. Keep your pride down. He does tell him that, keep your pride down. You're in an important position. You're going to be a general. Maybe you already are. I don't know what he is at this point or how old he is, but maybe he's like, hey, remember, like, stay focused. Mm-hmm. And then with Shiblon, it's almost like he's saying, pat on the back, like, buddy, you're doing awesome. But you know what I'm saying? And it's not that it's a favorites game. It's nothing like that. It's just that Alma knows what they need to hear and sort of where they are in their life, Anyway, I just thought that was interesting to see, that kind of the way that he's talking to them.
Right. Yeah. And I also like in verse 2 where he starts out and he says, I would that ye should do as I have done.
Yeah.
And what a good feeling that is as a father to be, obviously Alma the younger had his rough patch, but he's repented of that and he's on the right path. And as a father to be able to say, so many times in these movies and stuff or in just real life, you say, you see people say, listen, don't be the kind of person that I've been. Okay. Learn from my mistakes and do the right thing. Right. But here Alma can say, do as I've done. And what a comfort that is. If we're in the same position, son, daughter, do as I've done.
You know what? I love that you said that, Jackson, because I haven't really even noticed that. Because think about that. There's a sort of a, if you want to downplay it, to 2 chapters of Alma the Younger's life. One was a bad chapter, one's a good chapter. I don't know if you want to separate it like that. So Alma understands the atonement. Alma the Younger understands the atonement so well that he can say, do as I've done. In other words, my old past doesn't even exist anymore. All that exists now is the good that I've done because of the atonement. That old me's gone. It's not even here. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't exist. And so he's saying, do as I've done. In other words, you don't have to sit there and trifle with that and say, are you meaning like back when you were doing bad things or you're doing good things? It's almost like he's saying bad things, that don't exist anymore. I took care of that. The Lord took care of that.
He's been spiritually born again.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's almost like that never existed.
Well,
as I've done in my life, in a way.
That's right. That scripture in the Doctrine and Covenants, and I can't recall the exact scripture, but it says where the Lord says, I remember them no more. I remember the sins no more.
Absolutely. And so he understands the atonement. He knows that's what happened. Yeah. Alma absolutely understands it. And he goes on and he talks about that later on as he gets into it.
Yeah, number 2 is a little throwback to chapter 5 as well. He says, I would that you, in remembering the captivity of our fathers, for they were in bondage and none could deliver them except the God of Abraham. So he's talking about the bondage of their fathers, which is a theme that runs throughout chapter 5. When he's talking about salvation, he's talking about, having that remembrance.
Yeah.
If I could say one thing about Alma the Younger, if I could associate one word with Alma the Younger, it would be the word remember. He uses that word so much and he uses it so much to his sons. I figured out through Alma the Younger that basically the formula of enduring to the end, the key to enduring to the end is to remember, because that's what boosts us. That's what gives us the confidence, is to go back and remember something personally in our lives that the Lord's done that can give us the confidence to go, you know what? He was there then. He'll be there now. He'll be there in the future. Or look back in the scriptures, as he tells his sons here also, look back to when the Israelites were delivered, look back when, all these other things. And it's remember. And it's like that word becomes more and more powerful to me. I've said it before and I'll say it again. If I've never heard it called a spiritual gift, but I'm sure remembrance is a spiritual gift. And I would love to have more of that gift, the gift of remembrance of these things and things, good things that the Lord's done and things in the scriptures, quotes, good conference talks. To remember those things and to be able to access them. access them as quickly as possible is what I would love. And this is Alma, man. Alma, remember this. And that's how he's enduring, because he remembers all those things. I just think it's very interesting. I love that.
Yep.
Wow, it's good stuff.
So I know for me, Alma 26 is another testament for me on how the Book of Mormon was translated by the how Joseph Smith.
You mean 36?
Yeah, Alma 36.
36,
yeah. How it's so true, and how you pronounce it, Kenny?
Chiasmus.
Chiasmus.
How beautiful Hebrewic poetry, and how that wasn't even discovered until 1967, and it was a missionary serving in Germany, Jack Welch, and how he just loved the German language, and he was, went to a seminary by a priest who was giving it, and he introduced him to Paul Getcher, who actually found the Hebrewic form in the Book of Matthew, and explain it, Kenny. I know it's like what.
It's really cool. So it's
right?
okay. So So what chiasmus is, like you were saying, it's a tool that was used in ancient Hebrew writing, where a certain phrase or thought would be repeated. Like there was you have a string of words or ideas, and then at a certain point, that string is repeated in reverse as it continues, kind of like it peaks, like you're talking about. Like if I was to say that that Andrew is a strong, courageous, intelligent guy, and then I would say, well, everybody knows that Andrew is a courageous, strong, intelligent guy. Wait, did I get it? I might have got it backwards, but it was like you take the words
backwards and forward.
Yeah, you take that's it. It's backwards and forward. So you take the words and so there's these little chiasms that happen throughout the Book of Mormon. That was a literary tool, and what's really cool there is that chapter 36. This is what we were talking about earlier. Your entire.
Yeah, it's a beautiful example. There's many of them in the Book of Mormon.
Yeah.
And actually, Jack Welch discovered it one night. It was 10 days later. It was August 16th, 1967. About 2 o'clock in the morning, he just thought, well, hey, the Bible in its Hebrewic form wasn't the Book of Mormon in Hebrewic. So he went, pulled out his Book of Mormon, and he went actually where he left off reading in Mosiah. And it was actually Mosiah 5, 10, 11, 12. And he saw the actual word. And we need Jacob here, Ubertung or something, which means transgression.
Yeah.
They were on top of each other. And anyway, he just looked into it, and he discovered so many. And when he returned home from his mission, he presented it to Hugh Nibley, a lot of Mormon scholars, professors, and they were just blown away. It was never mentioned in the past. You never heard about it in Nauvoo, Kirtland, Joseph, Hiram, Brigham Young never talked about it. No one even knew of this. And to me, it was just another witness for me how the Book of Mormon was beautifully translated.
There's no way Joseph Smith could have known about that. And
you got to
even if he had somehow known about the existence of chiasmus, there's no way he could have incorporated that into the text to the degree he did without having any notes. There was no notes. There was no reference. There was nothing. He would come straight every day. What was it? 72 business days that he translated the entire.
72 to 77.
Yeah,
and there was only one book.
Boom. Sit down. Word. Get it. And the next day you pick up exactly where it left off. There was no looking through your notes to see okay, wait a minute, what was this guy?
Right.
All the other great, Tolkien. I've heard the writing of the Book of Mormon compared to the writings of Tolkien, where Tolkien had these notebooks, these huge notebooks, where he had cross-referenced all of the different the characters and ideas, so he would have consistency throughout his books, whereas the Book of Mormon has consistency from beginning to end without any of those.
Yeah, and actually, what a little neat fun fact is he read his journal years later. August 16th, 1967 was exactly the midpoint of his whole mission, like the middle of his mission. That was very interesting. He didn't know that till years later, and
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, just very interesting and very, again, just how true and powerful that is.
It's amazing when God is in control.
Stars lining up.
Yeah. And that's what he said. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. So I wanted to. I'm going to show my graphic, so y'all know about this already.
Yeah.
And I apologize for anybody who's listening right now, but So if you get a chance to check it out on YouTube, I'll actually probably share this graphic on the Facebook
That'd be a good idea.
post,
Yeah, that'd be
because
good.
it's a really cool thing to me. Like this kind of brought it all together for me. You can look at this. This is the entire chapter kind of broken down. These phrases occur at the very beginning. You see, they're color coded.
So it's just like you say. It starts, goes out to a point, and then it traces back again to the start.
Yeah, you can see on this graphic where the entire chapter peaks at verses 17 and 18.
Right.
The chiasmus there is Jesus Christ, Son of God. And then it goes back, and then it starts
goes back to
starts repeating in reverse, back all the way back to the very beginning.
That's just
you've
really got to be a scholar to get into to even recognize. You know what I mean? It's unreal.
So when I was learning about it, there was only one book, and it was just a small little pamphlet in 1825, 26 in Philadelphia that didn't even exist in the United States. And no one even knew about this in the United States at the time. So it was, again, just very beautiful. Again, it was, by the gift of the Holy Ghost, it was translated.
Absolutely.
And, in the English language, it's an introduction. You got a paragraph 1, paragraph 2, paragraph 3, and the conclusion. But with this Hebrewic poetry, and it's found in the New Testament. In Matthew, I know Matthew 10:39, it says, Jesus Christ is speaking, "He that findeth his life shall lose it. He that loseth his life for my sake shall find it."
Oh yeah,
it's all.
And that's a small. That's a little one.
yeah, that's little. It's all.
That's a little chiasmus, the way they talk. Yeah. That's pretty cool, man. It's just another thing that. I can't remember if it's Kenny that said it. You're gonna, whatever you're looking for, you're gonna find it. And so these guys were looking for true ways to understand and see the validity of the book, and they found it. They found a good thing. If you're looking for bad things, you're gonna find bad things. But they're looking for good things.
I think stuff like this, the Lord throws those little nuggets to us.
Exactly.
Just
absolutely.
Sure.
And honestly, for me, that's enough. It's like, wow, okay. I mean, you don't have to tell me anymore. It's already a great book anyway that tells you how to live a better life and have to have true joy. I mean, it tells about Jesus Christ, but then to put these little things in like this just really puts the icing on the cake for me, because it's like, okay, I mean, it's the same thing, man. This is written by ancient prophets. I mean, you know what I mean? This is
And Jack Welch said it wasn't it wasn't really it wasn't a coincidence that he was a missionary in this town,
exactly,
in this place where they were talking about it. And at the very end of his mission, he had the opportunity to meet this author, Paul Getcher, who actually found this Hebrewic form in the book of Matthew.
Yeah,
and talked to him, and he was in his 80s. And just how interesting it was to have that conversation, and how he brought it home and introduced it to these smart, intelligent, older men, Hugh Nibley, all these guys.
Very interesting stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? And it all, as we read the scriptures, the small and simple things as we're getting ready to talk about, mysteries of God will be revealed to us. And Jack Welch talked about that, how according to the heat and diligence, the mysteries of God will be revealed to us, and he just he was in it to win it and found it. So
that's awesome.
If we had really studied and thought about this, guys, we could have done this whole podcast in a chiasmus.
No. So let's go backwards.
Let's go back.
So
we get all the way. You should have started out with keep on striving, and then we end with keep on striving.
That's true.
I mean,
Very good.
Then you'll know this podcast is true. That's how you can know, through chiasmus.
It's hilarious.
Wow.
Did y'all have anything else for 36?
Man, I do have something actually. Just when he's talking about when the angel was there, I just thought it was so interesting in verse 11 when he says, if he's talking about what the angel said to him, to Alma. He said, "If thou wilt be destroyed of thyself, seek no more to destroy the church of God." He said, "I was struck with such great fear and amazement, lest perhaps that I should be destroyed, that I fell to the earth, and I did hear no more." I mean, we know why he fell to the earth now. That phrase knocked him down.
Right.
It really got to him, because I feel like he understood a fraction of the absolute power of God at that point. He knew that, whoa, I could be gone. You know what I mean? I could be taken away like that.
I'm nothing.
Yeah, exactly. I am nothing. I'm nobody. And so I think it really hit him where he went, whoa, I'm getting a little bit, I kind of seeing it a little bit clearly now. But he goes on and talks about how he remembered the words of his father. I think of Enos, how Enos remembered the words of his father. And there's just so many things, man, in here it's just really good stuff, man. I like I'll just last thing here. I know I feel like but in verse 15, he said when he was the angel had came to him or whatever, and he was repenting of his sins and such. He said, "Oh, thought I that I could be banished and become extinct, both soul and body, that I might not be brought to stand in the presence of my God to be judged of my deeds." He didn't even want to stand before God. He knew he was guilt-ridden, all these things. But it's very interesting that you go right down to verse. He says, "Yea," in verse 22 at the very end. He says, "Yea, and my soul did long to be there." He saw God. He saw the angels, surrounded God, praising God, and so he thought, "I want to be there." It's so interesting to me that he goes from "I don't want to be here, I want to hide, I want not to see the Lord or nothing," to the point after he repents that I long to be with the Lord. And so that's the atonement. He was a new person. He was a brand new person, as we said before. Quite the contrast to how he felt in verse 15 that he does in verse 22. But, I just thought that was very interesting. But like I say, very good chapter about remembering and things like that. I love it.
Yeah, that very important. I mean, parents need to share their testimonies with their children. It's like I said in 17, he remember hearing the testimony of his father. Now he's sharing his testimony with his son Helaman and his others, and hopefully they'll pass along. And very, very important. That's remembering right. Again.
I'm thinking of Jeffrey R. Holland. He said, and I can't remember exactly what he says, but he says, "Never assume that your children know that you have a testimony of the gospel. Never assume it." He says, "You make sure you tell them that you have one. It don't matter if you go to church every day, if you hold callings, you give blessings, you do all these actions, all these things that they see. That is absolutely powerful. But don't ever take for granted sitting down with them and bearing your testimony to them." That's cool. Huge. That's huge. And that's what Alma's getting to do right here with his kids. So
that's cool. Yeah. So moving on to chapter 37, I think it's pretty interesting here where Alma gets in and discusses the significance and the importance of preserving history and scriptures and so forth. And I'll touch on something here in a little bit, but anybody jump in with anything that you got here?
The famous scriptures, 2 verses that that I've grown up I'm reading. It's the small and simple things.
Oh yeah,
are great things brought to pass. Which I can mean many, but scriptures. I look at it. Scriptures are small and simple things. If you think about it, the actual scriptures, leather, paper, ink, very simple, but how important it is to read it. Scripture study is a small and simple commandment, but reading the scriptures daily is magnificent, very big. It can strengthen your testimony. I mean, I can, in my life, as I read the scriptures, it gives me strength, but it's a small and simple commandment, right? I mean, when you hear in church, read your scriptures, how small and how often we hear that, but it's so powerful if we do it,
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
It kind of gets back to the couple episodes ago where we were referencing the Moses, where because of the simpleness of the way, raising the brazen serpent there, because how simple it was, they wouldn't look to live. So
that's true.
Which gets back to our title: "Look to God and Live."
Yeah.
Turn everything to God, and it's gonna be okay in the end.
Remember.
That's right.
Yeah, teaching our kids to value God's word, are found in the scriptures. So
I think it's interesting, just even in verse 8 here in Alma 37, he says, "And now it has hitherto been wisdom in God that these things should be preserved." He's talking about the plates, these records. He says, "For behold, they have enlarged" what? "The memory of this people." It's over and over about the memory, remembering. If we don't remember, man, this goes, and this would be a great segue into what's going on in the world today about tearing down our monuments and things. And remembrance can be powerful. Remembrance can help us to understand history, and it may be something we remember that's not so great, but it helps us to remember not to do that again. It may be something that's awesome that happened that helps us to go, hey, I want to strive for that again. So remembering is powerful. Remembering is very powerful.
So yeah, speaking to that, Marcus, and that's what I was going to bring up in verse 21. It says, "And now I will speak unto you concerning those 24 plates, that ye keep them, that the mysteries and the whole work and the works of darkness and their secret works, or the secret works of those people who have been destroyed, may be made manifest unto this people. Yet all their murders and robbings and their plunderings and all their wickedness and abominations may be made manifest unto this people. Yea, that ye preserve these interpreters." It's very interesting that it very specific instructions to preserve the wickedness of the people.
Yeah. Right.
So that they remember what they did wrong.
Absolutely. It's a terrible thing. It's something that you don't want to hear about. You don't want to bring it up. It may offend people. It may this or that,
right.
But we got to remember it, because if we don't, we're destined to repeat that stuff.
Repeat it,
if we're not scared, if we're not
and to speak on to what's going on today with slavery in this country, it's a and no pun intended, but it's a big black eye on this country, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So I mean, it's a part of our history that I think a very minute people are proud of. If they're proud of it, shame on them. Shame
Absolutely.
on them.
Absolutely.
So
and nor am I saying let's go build a statue to remember slavery. I mean,
right.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying let's go create a new statue of Hitler so that we can remember what the Holocaust was like, and what that was bad about. I'm just saying that there's a place for it. There's a place in our museums, or in our obviously our textbooks, in our homes, in our discussion, to remember that stuff, to avoid the bad things.
I think it's important too, though, to remember the aspect of remembrance that's really, really crucial is remembering the events and people of history in all their complexity, because
absolutely
what we're talking about, there's a lot of things that there was good and there was bad, but it's not necessarily the good people and the bad people. We have to remember that there's a good portion of the Book of Mormon where the Nephites were the bad guys, where they were wicked, and the Lamanites were the good guys.
Absolutely.
And even then, to say that they were quote unquote the good guys or bad guys is a gross oversimplification, because people are hardly ever are you going to find any human being who's ever lived that you could see is all good or all bad.
Right.
Humans are complex, and even in the most horrible people, you can find good things about them. And even in the best people, there's got some dark corners of their
and I would dare say too
their lives.
I would dare say too, in that same vein, Kenny, that most people in history I would say the majority of people, even Adolf Hitler, would say that he thought what he was doing was right. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Most people don't consider themselves, I'm an evil guy, I want to be the evil guy. It wasn't that. It was about what they thought was the right thing to do, and they went out and they did it. I mean, some people were just so far out there that it was really just obviously evil, but maybe they were just so far past feeling thing. It just didn't. But what I'm getting to is that you have to put everything into context. It's different eras. It's different people's attitudes. There's so many things.
I think you hit on something important there. The historians call presentism.
Yeah.
We tend to try to see the past through the lens of our own culture
today,
exactly.
we live in.
You're right.
Which is you can't do that. It doesn't work. It doesn't make sense, because
not accurately. No. Right.
Yeah. I mean, for us to look, when we look back in history, if we look at our own country 200 years ago, it's I can't remember, somebody compared it to going to a different world or something, or a different country, because it really is. It is a different place. Different
mindset, different.
And slavery, like today, we almost, especially in the Western world and the whole Judeo-Christian world, we pretty much universally agree that the idea of any human being owning another human being is an absolutely abhorrent idea.
Absolutely.
However, that is an idea that was part of normal life for the vast majority of human beings, for the vast majority of human history. There's not a single race of people that wasn't enslaved by another race of people at some point in history. Even we in our
Egyptians
country,
all the way back to the Israelites.
we tend to focus on the experience that we have in this country.
Oh yeah.
But of white people enslaving black people. There's
so many more.
The first legal slave owner, a lot of people don't know this in America, was a black man.
Right.
Yeah.
So And they're even like, if you want to compare the numbers, the Barbary pirates, were dark-skinned people that took white European slaves.
Right.
They owned far more. So there was
Yeah.
far more white Europeans enslaved,
Yeah.
in that whole slave trade than there were African people involved in the slave trade in, the American colonies. And so it's just you can't oversimplify is all I'm saying. I don't ever. I'm not justifying any.
No, not at all.
I know it's
absolutely
it's difficult to talk about, but
absolutely
we have to remember history. I think what Alma's saying is here we have to remember history. Remembering history. It's understanding history. I guess is what
absolutely.
I'm trying to get at.
So remembering history, correct, but. He does say in a few verses later, in verse 27, they find the book, the plates of the Jaredites. And, there in mid-verse in 27, it's, talking about the secret abominations. He said, yea, and all their signs and their wonders he shall keep from the people.
Yeah.
They know them not. And as parents, Alma as a father to his son Helaman, you want to teach him right from wrong. He's telling Helaman his conversion story, but yet again, you don't want to just – you don't want to expose all this wickedness, pornography. Hey, we got, here's this and that. You teach the nose about it, but at the same time, it was there in verse 27.
Remembering it and learning from it.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's two parts here. There's one is, hey, these things happen, these bad things. We want people to know that these bad things happened, but there are things that the people don't need to know because all that's going to do is stir up curiosity and possibly have them go after it again, which is why there's some things here like their secret oaths, their covenants, their agreements, the signs and things like that they had. That's just going to cause people to get curious. Right. That's not going to do anybody any good. There's no point in having that out there public, which we do find out later on that some of that stuff does get out somehow, but we see it later on with the Gadianton robbers, et cetera. So
actually in this chapter 37, we learned there in First Nephi 16, 17, roughly around there about this ball, this Liahona, but we don't find out till in this chapter what it's called.
Yeah.
There in First Nephi, you never actually know what it's called, but here in chapter 37, verse 38, it's called the Liahona. That's interesting.
So here's what I love. Here's what I love about chapter 37, and Andrew's hitting on it right now. So here's Alma talking to Helaman. They're discussing. All of a sudden, they start discussing the Liahona, right? And they actually have it there. I'm sure he's showing it to him, et cetera. So he's telling about how Nephi and Lehi and et cetera, and this is ancient stuff to them. You know what I mean? So, and so they're talking about it, how it guided them. And then in verse 43, it says, and now, my son, I would that you should understand that these things are not without a shadow. In other words, this means something. This wasn't just a compass to direct them as it was, but for us, it's something different. This compass doesn't work for us now. It's not really something we use that points our direction, but what it was a shadow, or it was a type, as we've heard. For as our fathers were slothful to give heed to this compass, now these things were temporal, they did not prosper. Even so it is with things which are spiritual. In other words, we've got to watch out now, my son, as to how we're directed by the Spirit. We need to make sure that we're worthy and that we're trying our best to be able to be guided as Nephi and Lehi was with this actual compass. It only worked through righteousness, And so here's the deal. We always talk about how the Book of Mormon is written for our day, right? It's for us. In this here, I love how basically Alma and Helaman are discussing the Book of Mormon and how it applies to their day. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's pretty interesting.
Cool.
They're looking at
cool.
an early portion. The Book of Mormon's not finished yet. Yeah. It's not even called the Book of Mormon, but you know what I'm saying? It's like they're looking at these early records, and now they're applying what happened hundreds, centuries ago.
Right.
They're applying it now to their day. And here we are, thousands of years later, how long this was, about 2,000 years, I guess, later. Here we are doing the same thing as Alma did with his son, and we can do that with our sons and et cetera. I mean, it's very interesting. I thought it was pretty cool right there.
It is, yeah.
It's good stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the kind of the famous, I say famous, one of my favorite scriptures in this chapter is 37, where it says, counsel with the Lord in all thy doings, and he will direct thee for good, as he was leading up there talking about the Leahona. I also like how in 35, he says, remember my son, and learn wisdom in thy youth. Yea, learn in thy youth to keep the commandments of God. Meaning, hey, by the way, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks, right?
Absolutely.
Start get the habit of it while you're young.
Yeah. Don't wait. Yeah.
I tell my kids that. Yeah, don't wait around like I did till I was basically 35, 40 years old to go, I might need to get serious about this. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, do that way back. Just start way back. It's going to be so much better, man. You're not going to miss out on anything. I can promise you. As a matter of fact, you're going to have more opportunity in your life. You're going to have more things happen. That's great. Yeah. So I guess the last thing in 37 I wanted to mention is just so that people, because I think it's the most interesting verse in the chapter. What I assume I'm saying this right. It's the Gozalim. It says, and the Lord said, I will prepare, in verse 23, the Lord said, I will prepare to my servant Gozalim a stone which shall shine forth in darkness into light, that I may discover unto my people who serve me, that I may discover unto them the works of their brethren, yea, the secret works, the works of darkness, wickedness, abominations, things like that. So I had to look that up. I was like, what is this? So, of course, I look in the I think Kenny would be proud of me. I looked at his professors of religion, BYU.
Oh man, I'm so proud.
Joseph Fielding McConkie and Robert L. Millett. These are professors of religion at BYU, and this is actually from Doctrinal Commentary on the Book of Mormon. There's 4 volumes apparently from 1991. Anyway, this is what he said about Gozalim. And I assume the scholars will tell me if I'm saying that right. I'm sure. Hopefully they'll comment. But
they'll reach out to you personally.
Yeah, they'll email. But yeah, we'll have to do a whole podcast on how I said it wrong. But no, it says, I will prepare unto my servant Gozalim a stone. And they say this. They say, this may well be a play on words. Is Gozalim the seer stone or the servant? It is difficult to tell from the passage and depends very much on the placement of a comma in the sentence. Perhaps he says, perhaps it could refer to both. It is interesting to note that when Jesus called Simon Peter to the ministry, he said, thou art Simon, the son of Jonah. Thou shalt be called Cephas, which is, by interpretation, a seer or a stone. That's in John 1:42. He says, though this name or title of Gozalim may be used in regard to any seer who utilizes seer stones, it seems in this instance to be a direct reference to Joseph Smith, the prophet. How cool is that?
Dang, Mark is bringing the big sticks today.
Dude, I'm telling you. I mean, chiasma all day. I mean, chiasmus.
Yeah. Yippee-ki-yay.
I've got asthmas. No, so
chiasm.
Marcus is making up from last week.
I got to bring the heat today, man. I'm bringing it.
That's cool. I mean, that's really cool. Yeah, that's cool, man.
I think it's cool.
I didn't realize until you said that comma. I was like,
the comma, dude. I'm telling you, the comma.
The comma makes. And what's funny is too, the commas, the punctuation was what wasn't put in there in the translation.
Absolutely,
that was added by the typesetter.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It was John. Yeah, I think John Gilbert. It was just one long sentence.
Dude, we got some knowledge rolling up in here. I don't know where.
Listen, Joseph and Hiram brings Oliver Cow brings us this long manuscript and to the old Grandin building place there in Palmyra, and they're like,
we might be right up there with the Maxwell podcast.
Hey, listen, everybody watching right now, stop what you're doing, go and subscribe, hit the bell, share the bell, baby, get it out there. Okay,
that's right.
Share it.
Chiasma.
I still don't know how to say it.
I say it wrong.
I still don't know how to say it.
Every time I'll say it wrong.
Oh my gosh.
Hopefully Gozalim is right. I don't know.
That's right.
That's cool, man. Just studying, man. Like old Jack Welch in Germany. He was just a young missionary, just studying.
I'm telling you,
dude. He was thirsty, and man, we can all just learn and discover.
Yeah, I've said it before, but man, my study of the Book of Mormon this year has been
my goodness,
so different. I mean,
I've never dived this deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in a whole different end of the pool at this point. I mean, seriously, it's unreal, and it's so much more. I don't know how to. I mean, I guess fun. I don't know what better word, but you know what I mean. It's so much more. Man, it pumps you up even more. You know what I mean?
It's spiritually rewarding.
For sure.
Absolutely. And yet, I will say that I feel like I'm still only scratching the surface. You know what I mean? It's almost like there's probably just. I mean, especially when you get into Robert Millett and all these other scholars that are just. It's unreal to hear them speak sometimes. I've heard Robert Millett speak a few times. He's outstanding. It's unbelievable what he says.
Okay.
Good stuff.
I want to before we go any further, I just want to issue a formal apology to Blair Hodges. So we're not on that level yet. Just
Is that for the Maxwell? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah.
I tell you what, I love it, dude. Blair Hodges is the ultimate host, man. He's the best interviewer I've ever heard in my entire life. No,
I would love
an interviewer more prepared for every single interview, man. That dude brings the heat every single time.
Dude, I would love for Blair Hodges to tweet on us or anything, just to say, man, who are these cats, man? Trying to
who are these young scholars?
Yeah. Who are these guys? Who are these guys? These know-it-all wise guys.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
the South.
Yeah, the wise guys of the South.
That's funny. Anything else in 37?
No, Shiblon's turn, right?
Let's get to Shiblon, man.
Yep, Shiblon.
Shiblon.
Kind of short and sweet. He was a good kid.
Yeah, kind of like Marcus was saying earlier. He's on the right track, doing great things, and Alma didn't see the need to go into depth and detail, or at least record. I don't know. You always wonder about Mormon's abridgment and things like that. Whether he shared a lot of the same stuff, but Mormons
probably. If I had to guess,
to repeat.
Yeah, one short chapter. He has a contrast that with his words to Corianton, which comprises 4 full chapters.
4 full chapters.
Hey, remember how you messed up?
Yeah,
don't do that again.
Yeah.
Hey, he's all about remember, man. Remember. Hey, remember this? That was not good. Let's try to remember this instead. It's like.
But I tell you one thing I did notice him talking to Shiblon is Shiblon was a good kid, absolutely. But not to be too prideful, not to remember, to be humble, because there in verse 12 it says use boldness, but not overbearance, and where else? I saw something somewhere else.
Not like Uncle Ammon. I mean, I wonder if he called the sons of Mosiah like his uncles. You know what I mean? He probably grew up with them.
That's
you know
right.
What I'm saying?
That's right. I believe.
Not like, hey, look out! I know Uncle Ammon's your hero in junk. But, hey,
calm down. Yeah,
calm down.
Yeah.
Dude, hey, I always talk about people we're going to meet one day. Hopefully, meet up. Ammon's going to come straight to me, be like, he's going to be like, dude, what were you saying, man? Like, why was you calling me out like that?
So actually, to go back one verse 11, it says, "See that ye are not lifted up into your pride. Yea, see that ye do not boast in your own wisdom, nor of your own much strength." So good kid, but just remember, to be humbled and to have faith and just.
Remember where the strength comes from. That's right. That's right.
It's honestly, this is all for us. I mean, this is good for all of us. I mean, I can promise you that I'm all 3 of these sons, at some point in my life. You know what I mean? I've been at Helaman. I've been a Corianton, not necessarily some kind of sexual sin or nothing, but what I'm getting to is obviously we sin, we falter,
you're trying to tell us here, Marcus?
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, that might be in the extra. Hey, get on page
in the South.
Hey, maybe in the next stick around and see some of the outtakes, and we'll see.
That's Patreon subscriber.
Yeah, be a Patreon subscriber, and I'll let y'all know. That's terrible.
Hey, that is a good point. I like that, Marcus. Though you can take all these letters and you can apply them to all of us.
Yeah, we've all probably had a turn being one of these sons.
Yeah,
and but not comparing. They're in 14. He says, "Oh God, I thank thee that we're better than our brethren."
Yeah, that's how the Zoramites.
Yeah, we shouldn't think that we're better than anyone. We should, it says, "Oh Lord, forgive my unworthiness and remember my brethren in mercy. Yea, acknowledge your unworthiness before God at all times."
What I love is that there's place even though all three of these kids here are on sort of different levels in a way, maybe in their lives, whatever. But and as I've said, that could be us in any stage in our life where we're at. It could, but I love the fact that there's still room for some kind of encouragement. There's still room for a lecture. There's still room for instruction. There's still room. So it's not like Alma said, "No, I don't need to talk to Shiblon. He's good." You know what I'm saying? He's still going to talk to him. No matter if he's perfect or what, he's going to talk to him. And that's the same way with the Lord for us. Our Heavenly Father wants to talk to us. It don't matter how good we are or how bad we think we are. He has things to say to us, and just like Alma does his children here. And I think part of it, the reason why he was so easy, I say easy on Shiblon, like I say, we don't know how this was abridged, but what I'm getting to is he knows, for example, I thought the thing that stood out to me the most in Alma 38 about Shiblon was that he was stoned. Shiblon was stoned, so that's a big deal. And I'm sure Alma probably thought, whoa, that's a pretty big test that you passed. I can't be any prouder of you than that. I mean, you're ready to go again, and so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, they actually show that in the video in the Book of Mormon. Shiblon.
I forgot about it. I forgot about it. I forgot that he had went through that. I was like, whoa, wait.
Yeah.
So,
hey, did y'all notice on that video, man? It's the funniest thing when Alma and Ammon and they walk into the synagogue and they see them up on this Rami anthem praying and stuff, and Alma looks back at Ammon. Ammon's like, I don't know, man. Did y'all see that?
Like what? I don't know.
Seriously, go back. If you go back and watch it again. Go back and watch it. Alma looks back at Ammon like, what the heck? And Ammon's like, man, it's the funniest thing.
Dude, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen too. You know what I mean? It's like
Ammon's like, I haven't taught them this, man. Don't look at me.
They're probably just so flabbergasted. They're like, we've seen a lot of weird stuff, man, but this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. You know what I mean? It's just.
Hey, but I tell you another thing. There in the beginning of 38 is verses 2 through 4. How Alma was praising Shiblon, and it reminds me as a father, not all to praise your children, to give them confidence. Hey, you're doing a good job. Don't.
That's a good point.
Yeah, just building their confidence.
That's a great point, because I think that's when that's probably when I need to talk to my kids most is when they're doing something great. I need to tell them they're doing something great. Yeah. I think that's super important. I think I know for a fact, me speaking to myself personally, I could do that way more. I'm very quick to say, hey, you don't need to be doing that, or hey, what are you doing? You shouldn't. Make sure you're doing that right. But I very rarely, when I see something, I need to something great that they're doing, I need to mention it.
Well, and here's a great example in my life with that, Andrew. When your kids start taking interest in things that are good and productive and stuff that you're not interested in, compliment them on it, And so of course, it got like I'd never be interested in something like that, but if they're interested in it, lift them up,
lift them up.
Yeah, good job,
absolutely.
Man, and stuff. So
it goes a long way. I try to reflect in my life. The times that I felt good about myself is when someone praised me and uplifted me. And, again, Alma, these three chapters, 36, 37, 38, it's just a reminder to me on how to be a good father and have that one-on-one with my sons and daughters. And great points here. There, 10 through 12, from what I got, was teach them balance and control. It's just full of all great material here. So.
I love the fact that you've got all three pretty good examples here. You got your, especially when we get into the Corianton chapters, how to speak to your children when they've made mistakes, and how to not. You don't want to drag down anybody. I mean, we're talking about our children, but that's with anybody, with us as friends or anybody we come in contact to. We want to lift people. People. The majority of people know their faults and their weaknesses.
They do.
Let's compliment them and bring out the good things that we see. That's with everybody. I think that's what we're supposed to do. Really. That's our charge or whatever.
Very good. So just to kind of close these few chapters out here, I love how Alma ends speaking to Shiblon, verse 15. He says, "And may the Lord bless your soul and receive you at the last day into his kingdom to sit down in peace. Now go, my son, and teach the word unto this people. Be sober, my son. Farewell." Mm-hmm. I love that ending there.
I know it. It's powerful, man. This is somebody that loves his children and loves the Lord, man. I mean,
Right.
There's always hope. Always hope.
Absolutely.
He was rebellious. You saw his dad change, and then
that we're really going to see in the next chapters with Corianton, man. Because I mean, I promise you, I will say this. I believe this with all my heart that and we'll talk about this in the next chapters, but as Alma, as we will see going into talking to Corianton, when he enters that room at Corianton, I can promise you he might be a little disappointed, but he has not given up on Corianton.
Yeah.
And nor does he think he's lost forever. I can promise that. I know he knows, because he knows he can come back. His dad was probably, Alma was probably worse. I mean, there's no telling, really with the things that we know that he did actually was worse than what we heard what actually Corianton did in a way, certain things put in context. But so, yeah, I mean, I think it's just, that's why I love these are the dad chapters. I mean, I've always referred to them as that. I think they're awesome. So,
yeah.
That's good. Yeah, I hadn't even noticed the similarities between the last verse of chapter 37 and 38. I've never thought about it until just now, but these are more than just conversations. These are almost like patriarchal blessings given to children.
Bingo, dude. That's exactly. Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up, because I believe that's probably mostly what it was, almost like a final blessing or something.
Yeah.
As we find out later, Alma, I don't know how much longer he lives. I can't remember what it says, but we don't really know what happened to Alma. They don't know if he was translated or he passed away and was buried. Right. It's not really given, but so maybe he knew his time was short at this point and said, I'm going to give my sons their final blessing or whatever. Right. And here we go.
Very good. Very good.
Anyway.
Well, yep, that brings us to the end of another podcast. And, hey, we encourage everybody out there to not only do your own personal studies, but find your family, your spouses, friends, children, and open up conversations with them of the reading and the studying that you're doing, just kind of like we're doing here. So it's I think it goes a long way when you can have open conversation with people and see what everybody else's insights are. So,
absolutely.
Amen. Hey, I want to throw something out there too. I would like for anyone who's listening to this right now, go on Facebook, go to the group, and if you have any kind of thoughts or any impressions about this or anything, share it with us. Please share it with us so we can all grow together. It can only help to share. Get some discussion going.
Suggestions.
I would love for us to be able to have some good backing, even if there's something wrong, even if you feel like we've got something wrong or we're missing the point on something, bring it up. Marcus, power just went out.
I don't know what happened.
How you going, Marcus? What's going on, Marcus?
Hold on, I'll do this.
You look like the Emperor in Star Wars all of a sudden.
So be it, Jedi.
Wait a minute, guys. Angel. I'm getting called up. Never mind.
Oh my God.
I'm back.
False alarm.
I was gonna show the what happened to Alma with the angel.
That's right.
But I was like, you know what? Never mind.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. I'm surprised. I mean, how did the Wi-Fi not go off? I mean, what's going on? It probably will. It probably is off. Another dimension.
That's what you to yourself. We can't hear you right now.
That's a miraculous intervention right there.
Right.
Some ghost Wi-Fi there.
I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
But
and one more thing. And if this is if this is worthwhile to you, what we're doing here, please consider supporting it.
Absolutely.
Go to patreon.com/Saints in the South.
Absolutely.
And, I want to echo what
even
Kenny
just a
said.
little bit. Throw a little bit of change our way to help us with all the equipment and the technology that's required to make this happen.
I want to echo what Kenny said, suggestions. I mean, to make the podcast better, what do you guys want? What does our listeners want? Do they want shorter podcasts? Do they want, do they like the snippets that we used to do, a little bit of, where we would do like a 3-minute snippet of certain podcasts? Well, I mean, if our editor wants to do that. But what I'm getting to is what they like. I would love, I'm like Kenny, I want some back and forth.
Yeah, it'd be good to know.
Yes,
I'm all for, hey, Marcus, when you said that was totally wrong. Oh, cool. Let's look at it. I mean, my bad.
Yeah.
Let's fix it. I mean, so we're not I don't promote myself as a scholar. I do sometimes, but not all the time.
I'm not a scholar,
Depending
but
on
I
the-
play one on
Just about 20 minutes. Yeah, just about
I
20
did
minutes.
stay at
Just about 20 minutes ago.
yeah.
We're
I
hoping
did-
you fast forward the middle part and got to
Yeah.
the end.
I did
Yeah.
stay at a I did stay at a
Holiday Inn Express.
Holiday Inn Express.
Holiday Inn Express one time. So but no, but yeah, I'm like Kenny. I'm like all you guys. Whatever suggestions, comments, whatever, man, questions, answers, we'll take it all. Just no swearing. Are we going into a chiasmus here? We bringing it back to swearing? What was way back?
Nice job.
I said
man.
chiasmus though. See,
If
I
you
said
say
it right.
chiasmus one more time,
I said it right.
Oh,
that
you're
time. I didn't
killing
say
me.
chiasmus.
Hey, look it up though. Hey, our listeners,
Seriously,
people watching, look it up. It's some great videos out there.
very
and,
interesting stuff, man.
Very just to show how great the Book of Mormon is. So
Well, there you have it, folks. Another episode in the books. And until next time, y'all keep on striving.